I'm Tony Alexio, and this is this week's Minotaur Minute. U.S. election, is it settled? It all depends on who you ask. If you ask the Biden team, you ask most Americans, you ask most people in the world, yeah, it is. Biden's the president-elect. Let's move on with our lives. If you ask the Trump team, though, not so much. You know, he hasn't conceded yet. He probably won't, not at least in the way we're used to seeing. Still filing lawsuits across all the disputed states. They're getting thrown out one after the other. Allegations of voter fraud are getting disproven. So I really don't know how far he wants to go with this at this point, and what he sees as support that he has, at least in his allegations. The rumor has it is that he by this weekend things don't work out for the Trump team legally. He may actually do something like a concession, but not quite, or at least lead back to pressure and let the Biden transition team begin their work, which right now are completely hamstrung by the General Services Administration, which for those who are not in the U.S. is the agency that does a lot of stuff, including signing off on transition paperwork. They haven't done so, citing that they want to wait until all states get certified for the election, which probably won't happen until December the 12th. So that's going to leave the Biden team about a month or so to get things set up to get everything ready to roll before the inauguration on January 20th. The caucuses, is the war over yet? Yeah, it is. The war between Armenia and Azerbaijan is done. It didn't go well for Armenia, though. The two countries decided to draw a line on what is now called the new line of contact, and that's where both countries' troops meet. Line of contact. Armenia, Azerbaijan, they met here at the line of contact. The problem is the line of contact about 3 months ago was over here, towards Azerbaijan. So Armenia lost a good chunk of Nagorno-Karabakh, lost other territories, and people in Armenia are really not happy. There's protests in the streets of Yerevan. They're wanting the prime minister to resign. Russia, in the meantime, not letting any opportunity pass them by, has volunteered, very benevolent of them, to put in peacekeepers, and they placed these peacekeepers right into the disputed territories. I'm sure it won't be a repeat of Georgia, Ukraine, or Moldova. I'm sure. Civil war in Ethiopia. Rebels in the Tigray region, they're clashing with government forces. Is it a civil war? It's not yet. These are not calling it one, but there's sectarian violence, there's tribal violence, there's casualties. They're expecting 200,000. Sudan is waiting for 200,000 Ethiopian refugees to cross over their border to escape this fighting. If it sounds like a civil war and it looks like a civil war and it walks like a civil war, it's probably a civil war. It's at least the beginning stages of it. And civil wars in this part of the world, I gotta tell you, are not quick and easy affairs. They're long, they're bloody, they're ugly. So we got to keep our eye on this. It's gonna upset the balance a little bit in Eastern Africa. Democracy in Hong Kong, is it done? It's not done, but it's on the ropes. It's on the ropes. It has been on the ropes since last summer when Beijing created their national security law. The question here at hand is right now, there were supposed to be elections in the Hong Kong legislature during 2020. Beijing pushed it off until 2021. They're saying because of COVID. The pro-democracy groups in Hong Kong are saying because they were polling high in pre-election polling, Beijing was worried that they were going to take over the legislature and create other problems. So they figured by putting the election off for a year, they would cool things down. At least that's the perspective of those in Hong Kong. There are 4 pro-democracy candidates that were going to be running in this election that look like are going to be suspended because they've run afoul of this national security law. This is, of course, swelling at grassroots opposition to this thing of the pro-democracy groups. 19 of the 19 pro-democracy members of the Hong Kong legislators that are in the legislature are threatening to walk out if that happens. It's going to be largely symbolic. The balance of power falls for Beijing supporting groups in the legislature at this point. But we'll see what happens. We could be gearing up for more unrest in Hong Kong if these 4 lawmakers aren't allowed to run. We'll see how it all stands out. We got to keep our eye on it. Anyway, that's the Minotaur Minute for this week. Actually, a little bit more than the Minotaur Minute. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again soon.